कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Numerous are the topics under Hinduism, being a very ancient religion, way of living, a spiritual philosophy, and much more. Hinduism has countless subjects, topics, themes, dimensions, and so on. Some time back, when somebody had requested me to come and speak to a bunch of 30 people or 25 people on Hinduism, by way of letting them know what we might cover, I had given a list of some 25 topics. And today, or this evening in India, or this morning in the West, we are actually picking up one of those 25 topics I had suggested to a school of leadership, as they called it. And they had a program going on in Nagpur. And I engaged that bunch of young men and women for, I guess, some 6 days or so. All right. The topic is reincarnation. One of the very mind-boggling topics. One of the topics on which a lot of people have many questions to ask. Therefore, it is all the more relevant and pertinent that we examine what this reincarnation, after all, is. Who reincarnates and what happens in reincarnation and so on. Incidentally, we have another webinar coming up 2 weeks later or maybe another time, which is more specifically on what happens after death, the view of Hinduism. But here we are focusing more on lives and lives that we are said to have had before, and unless we get the highest Brahma Jnana, we are bound to have lives and lives in future also. As Bhajagovindam has the verse, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatare Shayanam, Iha Sansare Bahu Dustare, Kripaya Apare, Pahi Murare. We pray to Lord Sri Krishna, protect us. We are caught in this endless cycle of being born and after some years dying, again being born, again dying, and so on. Please save us. This seems to be endless. There's a shloka like that. We'll refer to it again towards the end of this webinar. But now getting down to the nuts and bolts of this webinar, we will examine a slide to start with. I'm going to share the screen now. This is our 260th webinar under FOI Forum. And if you look at it in terms of what the number is, under Understanding Hinduism, it is episode 9 on this day, January 14, 2024. I trust the slide is clearly seen. If not, one of you could let me know, or the organizer could let me know. Now,
it is very well seen.
It is clearly visible. Good. So, first of all, in our synopsis that went to many of you, if not all of you, we had said that leave alone members of other religions A lot of Hindus themselves are confused about this business of being born and being born again and again on one hand, and being untouched by birth and death on the other. Vedanta students, especially those who attend Vedanta classes, and in the Shankara Vedanta, it is said that we are that ātmā which has no birth, no death, ajaha and amaraha, and so on. And then some other place we are told we have lives and lives to come up in future too. Or for that matter, when somebody dies, we say, may that soul, may that jivatma attain sadgati. That means this jivatma of the uncle or aunt, grandfather or grandmother who passed away is traveling and is going to take another birth. We are praying for that jivatma, the samsari atma, to get a better birth than what she or he had presently. Therefore, I am clarifying on that right in the beginning, and that is the word Atma is used on two planes. Both the words, that is the word Atma in both the contexts, refers to oneself. Yes, every one of us is an Atma, but on a certain level, we are born again and again. On a certain deeper level, where hardly anyone reaches, it's one in a million who could reach that kind of self knowledge, through seeing, through understanding who we are on a very deep level, the whole dynamics changes. So, why does the word Atma have two meanings? When we take one meaning, yes, it has life after life, birth after birth, death after death. And when we take another meaning of the same word Atma, it was never born, even this birth, this life is not really true. It is beyond death and birth. Why is this? So, in a quick passing manner, in all languages under the sun, there are some words which, for some reason, whatever, has double meaning or sometimes three, four, five meanings. As I looked up Google, I got this example, the word crane in English. Crane could be, that bird is a crane, it's the name of a bird. Or they had to use a crane to lift the object. So you have two meanings. So without making it a class of linguistics, we say, please know the context. As at the bottom it is written here, if it is karma-kānda, you have, in karma-kānda, when the word atma is used, it's a certain self-perception. It's a certain way we are looking at ourselves. By looking at ourselves in that certain way, we become that actually. That's the interesting part. If you think you are the body, well, for all practical purposes, you are the body. So I am this body, I am this personality, I am this, father, mother. In this way, a number of thoughts coming again and again in quick succession make us strongly identify with a certain entity that is called Jivatma. And that is also called Sansari Atma. And this Sansari Atma, have no doubt about it, goes through many lives. It had many lives, it will have many lives. And we will have memories, we will have future experiences, we did have past experiences. But if the same word Atma used in the scriptures is in the context of another level of perception, one in a million, I already said, breaks through, breaks the barriers, breaks the walls created by one's own thinking, one's own limited knowledge, one's own, in fact, spiritual ignorance, and breaking free of those limitations, one in a million, which could be any of one of also in due course of time, one in a million actually realizes what one is on a deeper level, and that is also called ātmā. Therefore, ātmā is oneself perceived on a shallow level, where unfortunately vast majority of us are at this moment. Atma perceived on a shallow level is the personality, is the Jivatma, it is the subtle body. We'll examine that later, and it has lives before and lives coming up. But the sense of I, upon going very deep into self-knowledge, becomes freed from all limitation. Then we call it Shuddha Atma, not Jivatma. Shuddha Atma, you do Sandhi, Shuddhatma, and it is Asansari Atma. It doesn't transmigrate. Transmigration is going from one world to another, one body to another, one life to another, that movement. It doesn't go anywhere. In fact, everything appears upon it. That pure self is ever free. This pure self, Atma, unconditioned Atma, has neither birth nor death. Later we will see a couple of Geetā shlokas which support the samsari Atma, then one or two shlokas which support the asamsari Atma. In other words, our scriptures talk about both levels. Now, if you have listened very attentively, it's pretty simple, you got it already. However, to say a few more words, it's like here is a picture on top right corner, a pencil in a glass of water or some other liquid of some other specific density, because among transparent or translucent liquids, some liquids may have greater specific density than water, some liquids may have lesser specific density, means thinner, some are thicker. And depending upon the specific density of the liquid in which the pencil is inserted, the pencil, half of it is in air above and half of it is in that liquid below, because there is now a change of specific density in the, what we call in physics, medium. Air is a medium and this liquid is another medium. To anybody who looks at it, the pencil appears bent. As the box at the bottom in the slide says, there is a whole science regarding by what angle the pencil bends. If it's turpentine, if it is, let's say, alcohol, if it is simple plain water, if it is some other transparent liquid, there are so many acids and alkalis, and you don't have a shortage of various liquids, transparent ones or reasonably transparent. So depending on, when will it seem to bend more, when will it seem to bend less, there's a whole science. The angle of bending, instead of pencil being straight, suppose you call it theta. Theta 1, theta 2, theta 2, 3, etc. This is whole. So you and I have studied it and passed exams and then comfortably forgotten it. But there is a science. But there is the truth. Even as all that, theta 1 for liquid A, theta 2 is liquid B. If the pencil is inserted in some liquid C, then the pencil will bend by an angle theta 3. That is true, experimentally proven. But there's a higher truth where the pencil really never bends. It seems to be bent. That is how, friends, you and I might feel, might actually experience, and that experience is as real can be for us. In spiritual ignorance, we are jivatmas. And not only next life and past life, etc., in this life also, some of us feel on top of the world, some of us feel in such misery, starvation, or affected by natural calamities, or broken relationships, health problems, financial problems. Rama Rama. So many things. all of them according to the higher point of view are like the angle by which the pencil got bent. And if you were to study the Vedanta carefully and also equip yourself with Chitta Shuddhi, then as the second bullet says here, in spiritual awakening, we perceive rightly. There are two perceptions. So, what President Biden thinks of himself, what Prime Minister Modi thinks of himself, what you and I think of ourselves, not just think, but experience our existence, all of them, sorry to say, are in the domain of spiritual ignorance. One in a million, some Ramana Maharshi, some Nisargadatta, some Ramakrishna, some of these great sages. They endorse the Vedantic truth. They say, no, I am not this body. When they asked Ramana Maharshi, we saw you getting tired, we saw you drinking water, we saw you, answering our questions. Who is this who is doing all this? Maharshi said, it is all the projection of your mind. The real I, you do not know. The real I never drank water. The real I never slept. The real I never went up the hill and came back tired. The real I is not subject to any change, he said. And his visitors were very puzzled. So what we see as Ramana Maharshi, he says, is our mental projection. They said, this is too much. But whatever, who am I? Is the question. Equipped properly with Vedanta knowledge, you go into the question, who am I, with all intensity, alertness, and seriousness, you will be able to let go of the tight embrace that you are into at this time with the personality that is born, that dies, and so on. Thus we go further. If there was no error in thinking, if there was no error in seeing, Acharya Shankara is very fond of a word, samyak darshana, seeing rightly. God forbids there is no samyak darshana. Suppose you don't see correctly, then there we have a problem. Now this slide is about if there was no error in seeing, that means we have samyak darshana. We see ourselves rightly. We see the world rightly. Very few blessed souls are able to see themselves and the world rightly. If they do so, then if we do so, we are awakened, we are enlightened, we are liberated while alive. That is, while the body is up and kicking. We are Jivan Mukta. Past lives, the present life, and future lives all get reduced to a mere myth, not real. We have risen above dharma and adharma, punya and papa. We have attained liberation, mukti, moksha. PUNAR-JANMA does not apply to us. So that is, if we were to see our own existence without any error. We have a long way to go, it seems. So let's go back to rebirth, which is our lot. We are caught in rebirth. In the error domain, according to Advaita Vedanta, all of us are into an error domain. All of us are caught in avidya, or sometimes we call it adhyasa. We are caught in adhyasa. To help us out, the Shastra, the Upanishads, the Geetā, and number of other works, and then the wonderful commentaries by Adi Shankara and so on, they come along and help us. In the process of helping us, they give to us so many concepts. So the package that they give to us is called deliberate superimposition, adhyaropa. The frame of reference is avidya bhumi, adhyasa bhumi, ajnana bhumi, call it as you like, it's ignorance. But out of compassion, Shastra, it means scripture says, Yes, yes, you had Purva-janma. Really, there is no Purva-janma. But out of compassion, the Shastra comes to our level and gives a whole scheme. Yes, in Purva-janma you did such and such thing. Therefore, this time you are born with some deafness, or somebody is born with all talent, or Purva Punya. You will have a next Janma also. Please live as per Dharma in this life, and that way you will ensure a good next birth. So, the whole thing. So, I have put it a bit technically in the third bullet. The Shastra gives a detailed picture of causes and effects. Good deeds done in the past is the cause, and happiness, prosperity, good friendship, and promotion, and getting recognized, getting everything we need in this life are the result of that pura punya. Sometimes without even our deserving, somebody comes and helps us. Then we say, this must be my some merit earned in past life. Causes and effects, karana karya bhava, and all this is in time and space. Whereas on the plane of that Shuddha Brahma, there is no cause, there is no effect, there is no space, there is no time. It is only Sat Chit. So Shastra gives a big, scenario showing this is the cause, and then this happened, and look, come, sit down here, understand, and giving us a certain understanding. Our mind is taken to greater and greater heights, and then at the right time, the Shastra changes its gear, goes to a different ball game. The Shastra says, wait a minute now, you have come a long way. And through your karma and upasana, puja and japa, through your seva to others, through speaking truth, satyam vada, dharmam chara, you did it. So thanks to all that, you have now a receptive mind, ekagram tatha shuddham manaha you have. Now leave aside all these concepts that we gave you. Whatever we gave you was adhyaropa, deliberate superimposition. Come and now drop them. Let us dismiss them. Let us negate them. That stage in the procedure, in the prakriya of the Shastras, that last stage, the second and last stage is called apavada. Apavada is subsequent negation. So where does reincarnation come? It of course is in Adhyaropa. Reincarnation is one of the major topics in the whole material, whole syllabus, whole curriculum of Adhyaropa, which Shastra gives to us. Just like modern software companies give to us certain software tools. And like, for example, all of us are using Microsoft Word. So we use so many words, pull down menu and this feature and that feature, how to enlarge, how to condense, how to change the font, how to bring some color, how to twist and turn some graphic symbols. All of them are part of the Word, Microsoft Word, which a particular company, Microsoft, headquartered in Seattle, has put in. Very handy to us. And sometimes that word looks more real than the world around us. Those who spend 8, 10, 12 hours in front of the computer are more into the software's artificial world. Anyway, let's not go more into analogies. Adhyaropa apavada. In apavada, the last stage of the Vedanta prakriya, this reincarnation is dismissed. But now we want to understand what this reincarnation is. And a question that is asked is, who on the earth is reincarnating? Who takes rebirth? Who is it? Who goes from one life to another, or who came from some life to this life? The answer is certainly not the gross body. The gross body in some traditions is cremated. In some other traditions upon the earth, it is buried. Europeans are shocked, I believe, when they come to know that in India, a whole lot of bodies are burnt. Really, you burn them? Because it is so alien to them, at least in olden days. They are only used to burying. Just like the Semitic religions are used to adore God without an image, without an idol. And idol worship looks very hard to accept for them. On top of it, there is a commandment also, don't thou worship me in any image, which is taken literally by them, while Swami Paramahamsa Yogananda said, what it means is don't limit me to an image. Don't worship me in an image, he says in his commentary on the Ten Commandments. So Paramahamsa Yogananda says, what is meant is, don't make the mistake of limiting God to a stone, to a form, to a particular name. God is beyond all that. But if an image, if a statue, if an idol helps you purify your mind, concentrate better, go ahead. Eventually drop it. That's another adhyaropa pavad. So gross body is buried or burnt, whereas it is the subtle body, sukshma sharira, that takes a new body in next life. Mind you, Sthula Sharira or Sukshma Sharira or Karana Sharira or any other Sharira, none of them will be able to do whatever it does unless pure consciousness is reflected in them. Therefore, to be more precise, we need to say Chaitanya Sahita Sukshma Sharira. The subtle body, enlivened by pure consciousness, moves to another body, takes a new body in the next life. By the way, what's the meaning of reincarnation? It comes from the words in and karo. Karo means flesh, in the flesh. And flesh in turn means a certain body. Taking a body. Spirit takes a body. So much of height, so much of weight, this skin color, then body has hundred descriptions. Reincarnation thus is assuming a body again. But what is subtle body? We use the word. If you go to Viveka Chudamani, verse number 96, I think, not 95. Verse 96 in Viveka Chudamani. Vagadi pancha, Shravanadi pancha, Pranadi pancha, Abhramukhani pancha, Buddhyadi avidyacha, Kama karmani, Kuryashtakam sukshma sharira mahu. Learned people call that as the subtle body, which is actually a conglomerate of 8 sets. Puri means a city, but here it means a category. So it is 8 sets of things. The first set is 5 karmendriyas, Vak, Pani, Pada, Payu and Upastham. The second set is 5 Jnanendriyas, Shrotram, Chakshu, Sparshanam, Rasanam, Granam, Evacha, eyes, nose, ears, and so on. The third set among the 8 is 5 pranas, Prana, Pana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. Then 5 elements, Abhramukani, Abhra means Akash, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. 4 sets. Then the 5th set is Buddhi and Manas together, Buddhyadi. The 6th is Avidya. Oops, everything is included, top to bottom, except the physical body. The elements are in the subtle body too. So then Kama and Karma, 7 and 8. So you have 8 sets. Puri Ashtakam Sukshma Shariram Ahuhu, says verse 96 of Viveka Chudamani. One quick clarification, you may say, where are Indriyas going? When we die, our eyes are left behind, our ear is left behind. The physical ear, the physical eyes are only an external aspect of the Indriya called Chakshuhu or Karna. Behind the physically visible eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, the Shastras talk about subtle faculties. They are not visible to any microscope. When somebody dies, those sukshma indriyas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, speech, hands, legs and so on, the sukshma indriyas actually go. And next life, they actually enter the physical apparatus. So it's not by mistake that we have put Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. Now we come to an important part. Where does Bhagavad Gita, which we highly respect, talk about either reincarnation or that asamsari ātmā, which has no birth, no death? Let's first take quickly a single example. There are many others like that in the Gita. But in second chapter, 20th verse, न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. 90% the same as a mantra in Kathopanishad. Sri Krishna says in the Gita that the first line itself is enough for us. This ātmā does not have birth and does not die. Na jayate, tasya janma na asti, na mriyate, tasya atmanaha maranam api na asti. Kadachit, at no time. This is the reference to Shuddha Atma. There is a Shuddha Atma, your nature, my true nature, but alas, presently we are caught in avidya drishti, asamyak darshan. Our study is all meant to help us see better. If you see carefully, the pencil has not bent at all. But hastily, you may say, oh my God, it's a new pencil I bought yesterday and it has gone bent. And something like that. So illusions can cause sorrow, can cause fear, can cause agitation, can cause a lot of heartburn. But an illusion is an illusion. You have to find out the truth, then the same illusion, even if it continues to appear, does not bother you because you know it looks like that, but it is not so. So now we go to reincarnation. Gita endorses reincarnation. Gita says there is reincarnation. Where? In the second chapter, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara तथा देहांतर प्राप्ति धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. 2.13. Just as when we are in a certain body, knowingly or unknowingly, we move from childhood to youthfulness, then to middle age, then to old age. So this movement from childhood to youth to old age is unavoidable. Like that, Arjuna, death also of the physical body is unavoidable. Tata dehantara prapti. Whether you like it or not, you will go and take a new body. And he compares the whole matter with the changing clothes. 22nd verse in the same second chapter. Vasam sijirnani yatha vihaya navani naraha apnoti navani. New ones he takes. He says in the 22nd verse. Very famous for its beautiful analogy. And in the same way, just as we throw away old clothes and we take up new clothes, we discard old bodies and take new bodies. Generally, a question is asked here, but then why sometimes somebody dies at the age of 10 or 12? It's not old yet. And it is answered away. First of all, don't stretch examples too much. But if you want, in the same example of the clothes, don't we sometimes dispose of new clothes? One or two parties, we wore it and went to one or two parties, and then to a servant maid or to some driver, somebody, you say, take this coat. He says, sir, it is so good. Madam, it's such a nice dress. Don't worry, take it. You use it. Like that, an 8-year-old girl, a 12-year-old boy can, based on karma. These are all interconnected. Karma Siddhanta. As you sow, so shall you reap. And then in the 88th chapter, if you go, Brahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartinorjuna Mamuketyatu Kaunteya PUNAR-JANMA na vidyate. Sri Krishna says, not only on this earth, in a number of lokas, bhuvaha, suvaha, maha, janaha, tapaha, satyam. The top loka is called Brahma loka or Satya loka. All those places, the soul, Jivatma, I'm trying to avoid the word soul, but sometimes it just comes by old habit because I am told recently by scholars that the word soul has different connotations in Western culture. You may use it, but they will imagine, you say, I brought a crane and lifted a heavy object, and somebody imagines you brought a bird called crane and lifted the heavy object. So, you meant the machine or equipment, but the other man thought you had brought a bird. That kind of confusion, it seems, it happens when we use words soul and sacrifice for yajna. They will imagine some animal is being killed and offered to some devata or something. For us, sacrifice is a homa havana where maybe some ball of rice, some ghee is put into fire. So there is a certain movement now to keep away from Western language so that there is no misunderstanding with good intentions. आप ब्रह्म भुवनात् ब्रह्मलोक से शुरू करके starting with ब्रह्मलोक भुवना means earth. From Brahmaloka to the earth, a Jivatma is only a visitor. You and I get very attached to this world, our town, our house, our relatives, our family, but we are visitors. When our day comes, we never know when it comes, we go. But we come again, Punaravartina. And one more, there are a number of examples for Punar-Janma in the Geetā. 16th chapter talking about people of Asuri Sampat, Sri Krishna says, those deluded ones who don't learn their lessons. Janmani, Janmani. Life after life, because of their misdeeds, they are born again in unhealthy environments because their vasanas bring them there. Whereas those who have Daivi Sampat, divine qualities, life after life, they go to better environment where they can study scriptures, do satsanga, do paropakara, serve the society, and rise higher and higher. So the upward rise of people with Devi Sampat, the downward fall of people with Asuri qualities. In that context also Sri Krishna uses the expression Janmani Janmani. So what are we to do now? In two more slides, we make some concluding comments. This cycle of births and deaths, Rama Rama, doesn't end so easily. We don't know when our first life was. Long back. And how many more lives we have to take? Therefore, a wise teacher once said, being a circle, the circle has no beginning, no end. It goes round and round. You may not end this cycle of birth and deaths, but you may, through higher wisdom, transcend it. You may wake up from this dream of limited existence. When you wake up from this dream of limited existence, you find that I don't have to be born again. In fact, I was never born. All that was an appearance. So this unbelievable, extraordinary insight that will stay with you happens when you transcend. It's like, as an analogy, a satellite gains escape velocity. The rocket gains escape velocity and breaks free of Earth's gravity. Like that, we normally are held in the cycle of birth and death, but when there is, thanks to karma and upasana first, then jnana, we break free. Now, quickly, it's not just in India, it's not in just Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, etc., but in the West, for some centuries now, there have been people who have completely accepted. Edgar Casey used to go into trance and then would counsel people and make references to the patient's previous lives. And with knowledge of those previous lives, he would advise the patients to do certain things whereby they would get cured of their physical or mental ailments. In the early 90s, there was this Dr. Brian Weiss, a psychiatrist in Florida, United States, who wrote this book, Many Lives, Many Masters. One of his own patients, in his book, he changes her name and writes Catherine, but her actual name was something different. But there is a character called Catherine. And through hypnotism, through the treatment methods, psychoanalysis or whatever, Dr. Weiss makes her remember something like 70 of her previous lives. A very amazing book. It became a bestseller, and Dr. Brian Weiss went around speaking at so many conferences around the world on rebirth. And then there was this name on top, Professor Ian Stevenson in University of Virginia established a department, and it's running even now with some Jim Tucker or somebody. He's running it because Stevenson passed away in 2007. First he retired, then after some more years he passed away. But the department continues to collect information around the world. And you know how when the Western approach gets into this, they do a lot of statistical collection and so on. So, if I may say just a few more words, let me end the show here, slideshow, I mean. Let me read something from, Professor Ian Stevenson. He taught at the University of Virginia, UVA, and there again, the School of Medicine for 50 years. And his passion was to explore this topic of reincarnation. He was a champion of reincarnation. He was the founder and director of the Department of Perceptual Studies at UVA, that is University of Virginia. Edgar Casey, who died in 1945, was an American clairvoyant who claimed to speak to his higher self while in a trance-like state. Then there was Brian Weiss, about whom I already said a little, but if I may draw from my notes here, yes. He made Catherine go into deeper levels of her own mind, where the impressions or memories of all those past lives exist, and she was able to recall them. So much more than this, these are just a few cases have been done in the West. Oh, they're not really those slides. I'll close. If it's necessary, I'll open them again. So with this, let me conclude this presentation, and I now give some time for any questions or comments. And if something I missed out, of course, in another seminar, we take up this what happens when we die. There, some aspects of this can be again taken up. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Swamiji, there are one or two questions in chat box.
Yeah, you may please read. Oh.
Yeah, here is a question by Dr. Ram, I think.
Yeah.
Is it two meanings, or it is based on identifying with BMI, not identified with BMI?
Correct. Yeah. So it's slightly different from the crane example. In the crane example, two different meanings referring to two different objects or animals or whatever. Whereas here it is the same I, Dr. Ram is right. Same I. This is what we call I. I know I am this way. But this I, when there is body identification, becomes the Jivatma. When there is no identification with the body or mind, its same I is discovered to be the Shuddha. It's the same. But then meanings change, right? Therefore, we attach two different adjectives. Samsari-atma, Shuddha-atma, Jivatma, and sometimes we may call it Paramatma. I avoided the word Paramatma because many times Paramatma refers to God. Jivatma and Shuddha-atma. True, that is accepted. What's the next question or comment?
Same Dr. Ram says, is Shastra dismissing law of karma?
That higher level, yes, because law of karma also is part of what is called adhyaropa. Higher level, in the transcendental level, there is no karma, no karta, and therefore no karma phala. So, on the higher level, karma also is dismissed with no insultment. It's like when you and I wake up from a dream where we were playing cricket, let us say. When we were in the dream, we were subject to all the rules of the cricket game. When we wake up, there is no cricket going on. There is no field. There are no two teams, no umpire, no spectators. We wake up and find ourselves on our bed happily, in a nice, comfortable bedroom. That kind. The Shastra dismisses law of karma on the Paramartha level, but on the Vyavahara Bhumi, on the transactional level, where you and I play out our role as so and so, such and such, karma is very valid. In fact, we will be dealing with it in various webinars. One of the challenges in spirituality that we have is to carry these two together. Because we studied some Vedanta, we cannot tell our family members, I am Brahman today onwards. Ridiculous. However much we might have studied Vedanta, we have to tell our son, hi son, how are you doing? How is your wife? Lovingly we speak to the son as ever before. But that is the Vyavahara. But Paramarthataha, that is on a deeper level, we understand. We are all that pure consciousness principle. So law of karma has its validity. Vedanta does not dismiss it in the sense of completely, throwing it out. It says the relative reality is in its own place. It will not cause much botheration to you when you have good Vedanta grip, not just intellectually but experientially. You have calmed your mind, you have deeply contemplated, and therefore you are able to station yourself in that avyayatma. That happens to all of us as we continue to study, do some sadhanas. Yeah, law of karma is dismissed on a higher level.
Now it is a submission. Shuddha Atma alone is Satya. Rest all is Mithya or dependent existence. Better
True.
explanation, Dr.
That's the meaning of Brahma Satyam Jagan Nitya. Correct. Shuddha Atma alone is Satya. Okay, even in Bhakti Marga, don't we say Krishna alone is true, everything else is Maya, and so on. But in Jnana Marga, especially Advaita Vedanta, it is said with much more force. This everything else is Mithya. And that such high force with which it is said has invited criticism also. Therefore, Ramanuja and Madhvacharya had certain objection.
Now,
But yeah, Advaita Vedanta says everything else is not true at all.
one more question by Dr. Ram. All 13 worlds are projection of our mind, of your mind, based on your mind's shuddhi. Different
Yes.
states.
Yeah. So it's actually a difficult thing to say. It's my mind's projection, I cannot say. They go together. That is, depending on the level of mental purity, these lokas appear as true. They had appeared true to Jivatmas 100 years ago, 1000 years ago also. The mind of mind doesn't create these lokas today. So from time immemorial, there were Jivatmas who pursued Swarga, who pursued Naraka, who pursued so many other worlds. And today also they are perceived. In Germany, there is one Mother Meera. She went from Andhra Pradesh to Germany many years ago. Even as a 8-year, 10-year-old girl, she was having visions of visiting Swarga, meeting Indra, and so on. That is how she was recognized as an extraordinary person at a young age. And then some Reddy Garu took her to Germany. She settled there, keeps coming to India once in a while. Astonishing, most of the time remains silent, but she has endorsed. The point is, she actually validated the lokas that the Shastras talk about. But she says, yes, I have been there. I have met Varuna. I have met Indra. She has recounted her experiences. Meera, Mother Meera, she lives in some village, some couple of hours of a drive from Frankfurt. Yes, all the 13 worlds are in one sense, projection of the mind. But another sense, solid real as this world of ours. So it's a little mind-blowing.
Dr. Sonpal says, Dr. Brian Weiss, the next training workshop is in August at the Omega Institute.
Oh, I was not sure whether he is still active. Nice to know from Dr. Sonpal that Dr. Brian Weiss is even now active, holding a workshop coming August at the Omega Institute. Wonderful. Wonderful to know.
Here is
There's a lot of literature on this reincarnation. Yeah, next one.
Arpita Anand. Hariom Swamiji, if reincarnation is to be believed, my limited understanding is that ātmā is for human being as well. There is no ātmā if you aren't born in the human form, which means there is going to be a disconnect in your spiritual journey. Does it, sorry,
Does it mean?
Does it mean that my current karma in the janma will determine my next life, whether in human form or non-human form?
The Atma is in all life forms. Suppose somebody, like Jada Bharata's case, he was then born as a deer. The deer had the same Atma. Atma is in all life forms, animal, plant, bird, and so on. And the only thing when the Jivatma traveling to various life forms comes back to human form, then there is a greater expression of various skills, memories, emotions, thinking, conjecturing, visualizing, imagining, reasoning, putting logical arguments forward. A whole lot of things become much expressed in human life, but the Atma continues in all the lives. So in Puranas, we have now a lot of stories where the Jivatma takes an animal body, maybe a bird's body, and so on. Rishis come along and curse, and a particular Jivatma who had a wonderful body of a prince, Rajkumar, is cursed into becoming even a serpent. Even Indra was cursed by one of those rishis, and Indra became a serpent right away. Because Indra scolded that rishi. He made 7 rishis lift him on a palanquin, and that rishi was going a bit slow. Move, move. In Sanskrit, to say move, the word is sarpa, sarpa, sarpa. And that rishi got angry and said to Indra, you asked me to move fast, sarpo bhava. Immediately Indra, sitting with all glory on the palanquin, falls down and becomes a serpent and moves. So the Atma is in all.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe sometimes so many other schools of thought, some Brahma Kumaris may have their own model, or there are so many spiritual organizations. They will have some other model. But mainstream Sanatana Dharma says the Atma continues to be and even express itself to a lesser extent in animal body, in bird's body, so on. Human or non-human form, Atma is present and is expressive, but to a less extent.
Dr. Sonpal says, I was trained by Dr. Brian Weiss and worked with him for 7 years as his associate, leading clients through their past life regression. His website is brianweiss.com and my website is drsonpal.com.
Wonderful. This is so nice to know. Wonderful. Congratulations. What a privilege to work with Dr. Brian Weiss. I read his book fully. I rarely read any book fully, but once I was practically imprisoned with love in one house in Los Angeles. Imprisoned meaning in a humorous way. They just said, be here for 2 or 3 days. They gave me that book. They fed me breakfast, lunch, and dinner was given without disturbing. So I read the whole book that time. Now I have forgotten. So that was as way behind as 95 or so. I read that book. I didn't read more of his works, but I know. Thank you for saying this. Can you please show slide 4 once again? Surely I'll do that now. Screen and here it is. Share. Okay, I'll go to slide 4. This is 4, right? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If there was no error in seeing, this is one slide not about reincarnation, it is already mukti state. Okay, maybe based on this, you will have a question or a comment. Let me go back to. Okay.
Swamiji, there is a question by Arpita Anand.
Yeah.
There is no intellect, reasoning capability is non-human form. In non-human form, how do you continue your spiritual journey?
Yes. Our stand in this matter is animals, plants, birds also have intellect, but they are in very rudimentary form. Just like you and I also sometimes going through some hard time, lose the ability to think. We become so dull. Afterwards, regaining energy, we again begin to think. So there is intellect in them. As you know, there are chimpanzees who even do some mathematics and so on. There are some other animals who understand a lot of human instructions. So many pets in houses, follow what the man or lady in the house says. So they do have intellect, they have reasoning, but not adequate for spiritual contemplation. That is true. Therefore, human life is so much praised. It's like you have a car, but it has certain issues. It cannot go more than 5 miles. Even those 5 miles, it has a bumpy ride, let us say. Then there are others who have a car which can go coast to coast or north to south in your country. So there is intellect, there is manaha, there is buddhi, there is chitta, there is ahankara, even in a bird, even in a lion or tiger, cat or mouse. But they are compared with the scale, human scale, on a scale of 100, there are some human beings who are at 85 or 90. Not all, some are there. Whereas these birds, probably in a manner of saying, are all less than 10. They are able to observe certain things and suppose you go towards a cow with a stick in hand, the cow runs away. Go towards the cow with some green grass or green leaves in your hands. The cow comes towards you, with its mouth watering, I guess. So that's also intellect at work.
Ranjan Desai ji has raised hand. Yes, Ranjan ji?
Yes, we would like to hear Ranjan's voice after a long time. Hope
Good
you
morning, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Yeah. It was a good seminar. I really enjoyed hearing you. So there's the Jivatma and Shuddhatma was very good understanding of that. So Paramatma is also a question is, you know, the Advaita philosophy is Atma is equal to Paramatma, right?
When you realize on that level.
Yeah, and Dvaita would be what? Atma plus Shukma
Advaita
Sharira.
says, thanks to Hari Bhakti, Madhvacharya would say, if you are full of pure love of God, Sri Krishna, then you will enjoy his proximity, his company. You will be in Vaikuntha and you will be in bliss. Pretty much like a freed person, but you will have your individuality. Yeah, so you won't become one with God. You are near him. Samipya, Salokya. Then what is the Sarupya? So Samipya, you are near God. Salokya is you are in the same loka like Vaikuntha as God is. Sarupya is you also get a form, a body which looks like Vishnu's body, but you are no more. You are nowhere near Vishnu. But because of your pure love of Vishnu, he takes care of you and you have no problem whatsoever. You live in bliss, living a virtuous life. It's not like the concept of some other religions where you go on enjoying rivers flowing with wine and so on, you know. In Hinduism, the Swarga has all the pleasures, but Devatas also continue their sadhana to a certain extent because they were virtuous jivatmas. Thanks to their immense merit, they have gone to heaven. Suddenly, they won't become total bogies. To an extent, at least, their yogi continues there. But yeah, when pleasures are available, they'll indulge a little bit. Sometimes go wrong a little bit. So our stories are very interesting, very reasonable.
Thank you, Swamiji. Namaskar. Wish you all a happy new year, both you and Vibhaji also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sarpita
Yes.
says the recorded session will be there on YouTube. She's asking, is the recorded session?
No, she is asking on WhatsApp chat.
No, not WhatsApp chat. It will be on YouTube.
Yeah, video will be on YouTube. Whether question answer will be there, that you please write to Vibha Chaitanya. She will let you know. She edits it a little bit.
But WhatsApp chat, we don't keep it.
Yeah, WhatsApp, not WhatsApp chat. This whole thing will go on YouTube. But feel free to, I think Arpita has your email ID and WhatsApp now, right? I can supply to. You can check about not only this webinar, any previous webinar. Suppose you want to know where the video is, so you can, Vibha Chaitanya can help. All right. Good night to everybody in India. Good day to all in the West. Hari Om. Namaste.